It's Friday. This is section 1904. Darren Smith, John Gennaro with you, getting you set for your weekend. This is your weekend preview. Mondays are always the weekend review. A little bit of a weekend preview, but not really. We have a guest today, so we're going to spend a lot of time off the topic of sports, I think. We can update some of the stuff that we discussed yesterday. But our guest, Emily Brubaker, is an executive chef at Omni La Costa and the first ever winner of a television show, a cooking competition called Yes Chef. We talked a little bit about this on Thursday. If you listen to Thursday's episode, John previewed it since John did most of the legwork in setting this up, but we're going to find out what was going on behind the scenes on a television show, just completed its first season, judged by Jose Andres and Martha Stewart, two of the titans in the culinary field. We're going to find out what it was like for one of San Diego's own to win $250,000 and the title of Top Chef, not Top Chef, that's a different show, but winning Yes Chef season number 1. I've never watched these cooking shows. I just started watching one a couple of years ago because a colleague of my wife was on a show called Tournament of Champions, and now I am hooked on that show, and I do love that show, and every once in a while, I'm led to a different cooking competition. So haven't yet had a chance to watch Yes Chef. John has binged it with his wife, Rebecca. So you're up to speed. You're going to carry us, at least as far as the details of the show go. But I have a ton of questions just about the industry as a whole, because I've always been fascinated by what goes on, the inner workings of a kitchen where I have spent years of my life.
Yeah, I don't know how much we're going to get into the actual show itself, probably some. But I did binge watch it. I did find it amusing that Martha Stewart and Chef Jose Andres, I don't know why we don't say Chef Martha Stewart. I guess because she never really cooked in a kitchen. But they seemed like, especially Martha, she hated everything. Every dish that was presented to her that she judged over 10 episodes, she found a reason to hate. But then at the end, she would be like, and this person's the winner because they had the best dish. But every single thing that was put in front of her, she disliked, which was a funny little thing to keep track of as I watched my way through it. But no, very excited to talk to Chef Emily. I think it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I guarantee it will be. So I'm always fascinated by this universe. You know, I do have friends who are in the local restaurant industry, and so I'm always picking their brains, and it's amazing how often I find similarities between that industry and the media industry in terms of, like I've always said, sometimes putting a radio show on the air, putting a podcast up is every bit similar, not in total structure and detail, but it is a similar experience to getting a dish out to a table. You know, sometimes what goes on in the kitchen, it's like, I don't know that I want to know everything that goes on there. Sometimes what goes on behind the scenes, whether it's us trying to podcast, get these things available, do some of the editing, etc., some of the timing of it all, doing radio shows for 20 years. Sometimes, like what goes on in the kitchen, you'd be blown away. If you knew some of the things that it took just to get somebody sitting in front of a microphone, you know, you might be surprised. And the same thing goes for some of the kitchens that I've worked in over the years. So I've always found some overlap there, at least in terms of the experience of it all. So that makes sense in my mind. I don't know that will make sense to the listener, but it makes a lot of sense in my mind, which isn't a surprise. But we do have the Red Sox in town here for did you have another thought before we
I was just going to say, if you want to start calling me Chef Podcast instead of Lord Podcast, I would welcome the change in title.
Yes, Chef.
Yes. All right.
Yes,
Padres
Chef. All
talk.
right. So we have the Padres and the Red Sox. This is a really good opponent, the Red Sox. Don't know that I would have seen this coming many, many months ago when they decided that they were going to trade away Rafael Devers, but they did not trade away. Remember, the Padres were really, really interested in acquiring a left fielder, I want to say it was. What was his name?
Jarren Duran?
Yeah.
Jarren Duran. I never really got the
moved on
pronunciation
because
right. Yeah.
It's a lot easier to say Ramon Laureano than it is to say that guy. But he will be here, and you know the Red Sox, and that means there's going to be a bunch of bloated, sunburnt chowds running around the streets of San Diego. I'm always reminded when the Red Sox come to town of a moment that, you know, you're very, very sweet Marty Caswell. Some of you think that she's just, you know, such a delicate flower. And one time we were wrapping up a pregame show at a place called Rockin' Baja Lobster, which used to be on the corner of 5th let's call it K, 5th and K, 2 blocks away from Petco Park. Got done with the radio show, did the BP show. Marty came over. We had a couple drinks. We were going to go back into the game. The Red Sox were in town for the first time ever at Petco Park. It was a big deal because there were a lot of former Padre people who moved on to the Red Sox. People like Larry Lucchino.
Yeah.
People like Mike D.
Yeah.
People like Theo Epstein.
Yeah.
And a lot of them had returned to town. I think they brought back about 75 employees that weekend. Ooh. And a lot of the Red Sox fans, it was mid-2000s, so they had just won the 2004 World Series.
Oh, yeah.
They were a really, really big deal. And I will always remember Marty and I were sitting outside at Rock and Baja. Did you ever go there? Downtown? Right on that corner? Yeah. We were sitting there, and this fat chowd is on the corner, and he's trying to describe to a friend of his where he is, and he's on his cell phone, and he's screaming at the top of his lungs. He's got one of the worst sunburns that you've ever seen. And he goes, I'm standing outside of a place. It's called Rock and Baja. And Marty, your little delicate Marty Caswell goes, it's Baja, you fucking idiot. And I was like, Marty, you're going to get me in a fight with a bunch of Red Sox fans here. But she wasn't having it. She just, this was an invasion of her city by these people that she loathed so much, whether they were Red Sox fan, Patriot fans, or whatever they were.
I was going to say, that's the thing, is she saw them as Patriot fans, and she hated their guts.
Exactly.
Rightfully so.
Right, yeah. So we do have that. I think it'll be a good weekend, the pitching set up. So, I think it'll be an exciting weekend. It feels like there's a sense of occasion. And then the Padres will go off to San Francisco and Los Angeles. And 2 games back.
I think,
Yeah, I think, having designs on a division title is a good thing. I know there's a lot of thought that, hey, however you get into the postseason these days, who really cares? I'm not going to be that person. I don't know if you're that person. No. I think division titles matter, and they should matter. And I think that is a great, great goal for this group for the remainder of the regular season. That's just my own opinion. Other people don't really care.
They fly flags for it, Darren. Of course it matters. To say nothing of the fact that it gets you out of that weird play-in thing that they have for the wild card teams. No, winning the division matters. And honestly, if you had asked anyone in March, I'll just say March, who was going to win the NL West, 100 out of 100 people would have said the Los Angeles Dodgers. Maybe you would have found someone crazy enough to be like, I believe in the Giants. No one believed that the Padres could do that. And if the Padres do it, they should absolutely rub the Dodgers' nose in it and be like, you guys are supposed to be better than this, and now we're better than you. So deal with that. We're tougher, we're smarter, we're whatever. But of course it matters. Not just because of that. It matters for other reasons, but that makes it matter even more to the Padres than it does to the Dodgers.
Padres haven't won a division title since 2006. It's a long time ago.
That's 20 years.
And I understand now in an expanded playoff format, it's, hey, however you got to get in. Oh, what is that? That's your goal to win the division? No, it's one of the goals, and it's a good goal, and it's a worthwhile goal. So according to Fangraphs, the Dodgers still at 82.4%. Padres just over 17%. But, the next week, we might be talking about something different here. We have an update, John, from yesterday where we talked a little bit about what was going on in the WNBA.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're excited to get back into the subject. You seem really like you were enthralled by it yesterday.
It is. I felt like we were covering the silly part of it too much yesterday, and then the story got real. It became a real thing yesterday afternoon. So I actually kind of am excited to get into this. However, the clowns that have revealed their fake names are still amusing to me.
Yes. Well, here we thought that this was just, I think, a bit sexist, and this was just making a mockery, and this was putting athletes at risk, and there is some truth to that. That these are just a bunch of sexist a-holes who were throwing these green dildos during WNBA games.
No, Darren. This is marketing.
And then we thought maybe this was just an online trend. This was the latest eat the Tide Pods. And a bunch of idiots were going down that road, which is bad in and of itself. I don't know what's worse, but it turns out this is just a marketing scheme from a bunch of crypto bros who decided that they are going to start a meme coin. I will admit there's a story in The Athletic, WNBA sex toy incident, maybe linked to cryptocurrencies group's money scheme. I understand about 20% of the story. I don't know if you have any sort of, if you're conversant in crypto. I am not. Others have tried to guide me on crypto, and I cannot understand it. I don't. I had a neighbor who was really into it. We've had listeners who were really into it. My guy, maybe we should ask Scott Sibley to come on and give us Crypto 101, or maybe you're already conversant in it. I don't know. Are you? Are you a crypto guy?
No. I currently do not own any crypto. I did at one point, but I currently don't. Do I understand it better than you? Yes. Do I understand it enough to say I get why people put their money into it? No. It seems very silly to me. It seems like just a play on supply and demand, right? Like I have this baseball and I say, hey, people can buy pieces of this baseball that I have in my hand for 5 cents. And then a bunch of people are like, yeah, sure, I'll do that for 5 cents. I'm like, now the price is 20 cents. And everyone over here who paid 5 cents is like, oh, my piece just quadrupled in value. It's funny money on a fake stock exchange is what it is. And which means it could collapse at any second for no reason whatsoever, which is why I don't keep any money there.
Right. Well, it appears, though, that this was not just, sexist a-holes and online trending. This was a community, a meme coin called Green Dildo Coin. And the price got juiced because of what was going on here, because of the and I suppose we fed into this to a certain extent, John. I don't know, because we were joking a little bit about what would have happened. Would the Malice at the Palace have happened if Ron Artest had gotten hit by a green dildo?
Good question.
I don't know the answer to that. I think history, the Pacers might have won an NBA championship had that moment disarmed the situation just a little bit or diffused the situation, but we'll never know. But apparently this was a marketing scheme, and they have all sorts of conversations that were happening online. I don't know that this is going to be exclusive to the WNBA. As a matter of fact, there's a suggestion that we might start seeing green dildos thrown on the field at baseball games, but stay tuned. I don't know that that's actually going to happen, and I hope it doesn't.
I also hope it doesn't. They did get someone to kind of, give them a peek behind the curtain to show, look, here's all the evidence that we've been planning this. We were planning this before the first time it ever happened. Here's our group chat where we were watching that game, waiting for it to happen, just to show like we claim responsibility for it. That person who gave them the peek behind the curtain, I have a problem with that person. Not just because they're part of this group that is orchestrating throwing dildos on the court of WNBA games. That's one thing. We already talked about that yesterday. But he gave himself a fake name, and his fake name is Lieutenant Dildo-Rain, which is a takeoff of the Inglourious Bastards character, Lieutenant Aldo Rain.
Right.
And I contend, Darren, as much as you just laughed right there, it would have been funnier if they just went all the way to Lieutenant Dildo Rain. Why stop halfway? It's less funny that way. These people are stupid.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Are they, or are they just cashing in? Or are they the ones that are laughing at us?
I mean, we're talking about them, right? The price of their freaking meme coin is probably going up because we're talking about them.
Yeah, not for a minute did I contemplate buying this meme coin or any meme coin for that matter.
That's why we're.
And this is the problem that I have with meme coins. I'm not going to buy green dildo crypto. I don't know. I just don't think that that's a good use of my money. But I'm guessing somewhere somebody profited from this.
Yeah.
And they are the ones that will point and laugh at me instead and saying that you rubes are the ones that are actually juicing this price. So I don't know.
Probably.
Maybe I am the pawn.
It scams all the way down, Darren.
It does. It does indeed. All right. Well, with that, no segue here. Let's switch subjects because we could talk on the other side. But Emily Brubaker, executive chef, Omni La Costa. Here's our conversation.
All right. Joining us now, the winner of NBC's Yes Chef, which I just binged my way through the last few days. Chef Emily Brubaker, also I'm probably going to screw up some of these titles, but this one's right on your jacket, the executive chef at the Omni La Costa Resort and Spa. Chef Emily, thank you for joining us. Welcome to the show. I don't want to spend all this time or much of the time talking about Yes Chef because Darren has not had the time to watch it, and I don't want to leave him out of the conversation. So very, very briefly, can you tell me what that experience was like of being on a cooking show? Because I watch a lot of these. I've always been fascinated of what the experience would be like being on one. And you were on one of the ones that went on for, I think, 10 episodes. There was, people had to fight to stay alive and get thrown off and all of that. What is that experience like? And what do we not see when we're watching it on TV?
The experience, well, good morning, guys. It's great to be here.
Good morning.
Yes Chef was a crazy experience. It was something that I never in my past would have been like, I'm going to do a long competition show where I'm away from my family, away from my career, and focus solely on myself. That's not really who I've been my entire life. So it was really hard. But it was kind of cool because the way they put you almost in seclusion, and they kind of just like, you're just with the same people, the same contestants, but you're not allowed to speak outside. So like outside of what you see filmed, we really didn't have a lot to spend time together. Like once you left, you were alone. Which I'm a mom, I have 2 kids, I have a husband, I'm a chef, I've never worked less than 10 to 12 hours a day. So being completely alone, no TV, no phone, no books, other than like some novels they started getting us. You really focused, like I was able to like focus on myself a lot. And the show is based about finding our personal struggles and the things that kind of hold us back. So it was an interesting, like, there's times where you just kind of want to hide. And it almost felt like that for like a very long period of time, where every night I would sit and I would write in my book, like how the day went, and I would reanalyze, and I'd be like, okay. And I actually spent a lot of time just motivating myself and being like, okay, you're going to win this. Don't even worry. Like you might've messed up, but you got this. You're going to move forward. Don't let the drama get you. Be you, stay true to yourself. I take a lot of pride in my integrity. So I was like, don't be somebody else just because it's TV.
Okay.
Right. Good advice too, especially in the reality television world where it's not often reality. Can you, this show has been recorded, right? You've won, so we can talk about this and people can find it. I think it's on Peacock, so it's easy for me to access it. My wife and I said we were going to do this. Tell us a little bit though, if I'm not mistaken, it was in Toronto, right? Like what were the actual days like? The judges were Jose Andres. Wow. Martha Stewart. Like what were the days like when you were participating in the show?
So we would my whole itinerary was like, you're in your little room that you're sequestered in, and they would like do a wake up call really early in the morning. So like 6:30-ish, 7:30-ish. And then we would like wheels up, go to the studio, and we would just be there until sometimes 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. And it was a lot of, there's a lot of like sit around and wait kind of situations, or you're like in like the chef's lounge and we're able to just talk to each other. But there's only so much you can talk to people you barely know for that long a period of time. But we would walk in the kitchen and it would start, and Jose and Martha would welcome us, and they would just be like, here's your challenge for the day. And it would just be like completely random. They love to throw a monkey wrench. Where I like, when you compare it, it's the same producers as Top Chef. Yeah. So Top Chef, the first seasons, it was the same idea. Like they would walk in and they had no idea what was happening. Now Top Chef's you have an idea of how it runs, and you kind of know, okay, there's restaurant wars. There's this kind of quick fire. There's that. So it's up with Yes Chef. You're like, I have no idea how this is going to go. It's a major network. So it could be a little more, like Hell's Kitchen. It could be a little more foodie. We never knew what was going to happen. The idea behind all of us having our stigmas. So everybody in the room has an issue they're trying to get over. So that was, and it's out on the table. We all knew about each other's issues. We all knew what was going on. Like, you got egotistical people. You have people who didn't believe in themselves. You have people who were, overly critical of everyone else or themselves. And so it was a lot of team building on like off camera, where we were more like, calm down, take a breath, get past it. So there was a lot of we really bonded. Like all of us are really close still, because we called it trauma bonding. It's just like, it was so intense when you're cooking, because the time is for real, just like on Chopped. Like there's no break, stop, redo. It's like go and cook. Like that's it. If somebody cut themselves, it's like, just keep going. Wrap it up and then keep going.
I have a very, very, should be a very, very short answer to a short question. Then I want to get into something else. But I have to ask this on behalf of my wife. So we were watching, I think, episode 9 or 10 last night when there was like a chef who was leading a team of 2, and each one would make a plate, and then the captain got to pick which plate went up in front of the judges. And me and my wife were screaming, going, what happens to the food that doesn't go to the judges? Is it just being thrown away? Because I don't think either one of the dishes you made went to the judges. And we were both like, we want to hear about these dishes. They look fantastic. So please, what happened to the food that didn't go in front of the judges?
So there's like a culinary team you never see, and they would like wipe the counters. So no idea. Honestly, it would just disappear. So my guess is the crew ate it.
Okay.
But even like that was the scallop corn dog, and even Martha was like, I wanted to try that, and I was just like, I wish she would have tried that. It was good.
Yeah. Okay. So you brought up that every chef on Yes Chef had a different thing that they were trying to overcome. And it was actually funny. So me and my wife were trying to binge this and get all the way through it, and we ended up skipping like an episode or 2 in the middle. And I think you had won the MVC, the most valuable chef, on like each one of those episodes that we skipped.
Oh.
And the jump from where we were to where we landed, your confidence looked like it went through the roof. And that was cool to see. And now we're gonna go back and watch those episodes that we skipped to see like your transformation from there to there. But earlier, and for some of the other people that didn't have your trajectory, you kind of saw them melt down a little bit. I think the very first episode, there's a chef who's like, she's a perfectionist, and like something goes wrong and she just kind of melts down in the kitchen. And the fact that they had all these chefs that had to overcome usually these mental challenges, I thought it was going to be a little bit kinder about mental health.
Yeah.
And it really wasn't. It was just like, yeah, you're not mentally strong enough. You can't overcome this. Get out. And you, when we were emailing back and forth, I noticed in your email signature that you are associated with something called the Burnt Chef Project, which seems like it's on the other side of this, which is this is difficult for mental health to be a chef, even if you're not on TV, national TV, whatever, even if you're not cooking for Chef Andres. But it seems like it's on the kinder side of that. So can you talk about the Burnt Chef Project and just like how mental health factors into cooking and food and beverage industry?
So I have a degree in psychology. I went to UC Santa Cruz before I became a chef. And so my dad's a psychologist, and mental health is always something that like he's really instilled into me of like how to talk it out. And like when I feel like, I mean, I have anxiety, I have all sorts of issues. I definitely have panic attacks. But because of that, I know like the food and beverage industry is hard. It is intense. It's always like, you think it'd be like, oh, it's just another day. You do the same thing, but your guests, you know, they're at dinner, and when something goes wrong, it's high emotions. And so that then leads to a server who then leads to a cook. And like everybody, all people who work in food and beverage are so passionate about what they're doing. So that leads to high emotions, very high anxiety, which then leads to addictions or struggles or relationship problems. So when I was in Las Vegas for about 20 years, and while I was out there, we lost handfuls of people to addictions and to, you know, suicide and different types of just self-harm. And just, I mean, it's scary. So I found the Burnt Chef Project because I always wanted to help, and I've always been somebody people lean on. Like, I'm a mom, but even before I was a mom, people turned to me, I think, because of the psychology degree, to be able to talk things out. And so the Burnt Chef Project, when I really found it, I was so thrilled. It's a nonprofit organization that goes after stigmas, mental stigmas for chefs, and there's hotlines. It started in the UK. The US chapter is actually getting much, much bigger. I'm an ambassador for it. So, I mean, I've been wearing my little band, my Yes Chef band, my Burnt Chef brand. And I don't take them off. Like, I have 100 of them. I hand them out to people and like, use this. There is like 1-800 numbers that have like, you know, if you're struggling and you're in a night where you think you're going to go binge drinking, you can call them instead of calling AA and actually speak to chef or food and beverage professionals who can understand exactly where you're at and be able to get you out of that binge situation. Or if I have a friend right now who's really struggling with her business, and she you know, put every dollar she has into it, and it is doing amazing. It's not that the business is struggling, she's struggling. And I was like, listen, they have legal help. They have psychologists who can listen to you. They have counselors, they have people who can help you to the next level, and it's all free. It's all nonprofit. It's all just to help. And I was like, so if you don't want to admit that you're struggling with understanding your profit and loss report, there's somebody who will walk you through it. And I truly believe the only way that we get better is having the support for each other. And that's how I run my kitchens. It's not about me, it's about us. And it's one of the reasons I really like Omni is it is a giant family throughout the entire hotel. So when somebody is struggling here, it's not my job to push them harder. It's my job to know why and how we can fix it. And like, I don't touch the food as much as I'd want to. I might create menus and things like that, but like, it's a nonstop operation of like, why are you struggling? I can like, you can see when somebody starts to go on their benders and be like, okay, something's happening. Let's reel it in. And maybe they don't want to talk to our like HR department because they don't want to like have it on a record. It's like, no, but I'm somebody you can talk to. I'm not going to judge you on it. Let's figure it out. And let's see how we can get past it because it's not healthy. It's not good for us. We only get one life. We have to figure out how to navigate it without constantly feel like everything is bearing us down. And I think I've been part of the Bird Chef project for probably like 3 or 4 years, but now I'm like an actual ambassador. But I think it really did help me on Yes Chef because I went in and I was like, okay, I can see all these people and they're talking about all this crazy stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, the good thing is like, I know of this program. And I mean, there were a couple recovering alcoholics in the group who are very open about talking about their struggle with it. And they talked about it on the show. And Chris from Florida, he was like, if I can get one person, if I can touch one person with my story, and he's had so many people reach out saying, I've struggled. I don't know how you got past it. And he did. And he's a great advocate for that. And I think that's kind of what Yes Chef should have focused more on is like how much the mentorship with each other and how much we are trying to overcome these things rather than the drama. I do think more people relate to that. Like we want to see the positivity sometimes.
And you know, I do think, Chef, like that is, you know, for me, when I was going through the list of chefs that you were competing against, right? And everybody's, you know, personality flaw or trait or whatever it was that made them unique in this aspect as one of the contestants on Yes Chef, I was going through this with my wife, and she's very familiar to the food and beverage industry as I am, having spent a little bit of time in it. And like every trait was, you know, this person's really demanding and this person's really short-tempered and this person, you know, they have confidence and they're a perfectionist. And at one point we looked at each other, we're like, this is every chef we've ever worked with, right? Like this is the paradox of being a chef is that, you know, you almost are inherently assigned to one of these personality traits. And that's really what it is, right? Like that's like the old Kitchen Confidential with Anthony Bourdain, where he talks about what life is really like inside of the kitchen. So like you can't like that's every chef. It's not like you guys are a bunch of outliers, right? Like there's almost nobody who isn't attached with one of those labels, like what it is that you all saw on Yes Chef on the television show, right? Like that's just the nature of the beast if you're going to choose this as a profession.
Absolutely. And I do think it leads to artists and the passion that they have. So like, I'm sure you could say the same thing for musicians or for painters. They get so lost in the work that everything else suddenly becomes this like burden. Mm-hmm. So like I'm married to a chef and the two of us, I mean, he's actually the opposite of me. He is the yin to my yang. He is the most calm and collected and confident and not stubborn. And he is like the anomaly of chefs. But when he does have those passion moments where it's just, it overtakes you and everything else, which is hard because we have children, falls away. And so for me being like, you know, I left the kitchen for a few years to focus on the kids because we had kids to raise children, not to have someone else raise them. And that's where I struggled the worst is when I actually left the food and like being part of food and beverage. And I was still kind of part of food, but I wasn't cooking. I had like depression and crazy issues that I was like, I just need to be happy and I need to figure out what that means. And I do think that there is that little piece that every chef or even like servers, like they care so much about the hospitality, that it's like they can't think of doing something else. Like they want to be touching people. They want to be serving them dinner. They want to drop that engagement ring or cheers on their anniversary. It's important. It touches a part of your soul.
Yeah. I mean, the desire to please, again, I told John the other day, I don't think it's a coincidence that I chose broadcasting, like the creative process of this, whereas thinking about a life in restaurants was the other thing, the fork in the road for me, because I'm hearing things that are similar when it comes to broadcasting. And you can only talk to other people that are in this space. Like other people don't understand. They're like, I don't get it. You make a bunch of food, you put it on a plate, you go home. You never just go home. Like you always take it home with you. There's no such thing as turning this off. 100%. Same thing goes for broadcasting. If you're doing it with the passion required to elevate you to the point where you're actually going to be really successful and an executive chef, et cetera. So I really appreciate that about what it is that you guys all do. And it's a really, really hard life. Why did you get into this life? Why did you want to become a chef?
So I always wanted to be an artist. Like I wanted to be a digital animator when I was in high school long ago, before digital things were a lot easier to do. And when I went to UC Santa Cruz, I actually went in computer science, but I'm dyslexic. I have a weird tracking issue with my eyes, and I didn't want to sit in front of a computer. I was like, this actually isn't the artistry I want to do. So I changed my major to psychology because I also care about people. But like right away, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to create food. Like food started really, I've always been surrounded by, I'm from La Costa, so this is home for me. But I've always been surrounded by agriculture, and I've always been a really good eater and like seasonality. My parents were terrible cooks, so I started doing it when I was younger, and it really, it like warmed my heart. And so in college, when I started to cook, I was like, I don't want to do psychology. I want to be in the food and beverage industry. And I told my parents, and they instantly were absolutely not. You have a Cal Grant. They're paying for your schooling. You're going to get your degree. That's what we do. They're all UC graduates. Like my dad's Berkeley. My mom's UCLA. My sister was in Santa Barbara. And I was like, okay, I'll get my degree. But while I'm doing that, I'm going to work, and I'm going to save all my money from work, and I'm going to pay for culinary school when I get out. My parents were like, that's so stupid. What a waste of time. And I worked in a pizzeria, and when I got out, I had saved every tip, I had saved every paycheck, and I paid for culinary school. And the minute I walked in, I was like, this is my place. I need to be here. The sound, the smell, like it touches every sense you have, including like when you listen to music, it brings up memories. There's sometimes where you either smell or taste like a peach that's perfectly ripe, and it brings you back to that backyard when you were a kid and that song was on and your dad was doing this. Food is incredible that way. And it was the first time in my life when I went into culinary school where I felt like I was where I really belonged. And I was in the place where I was going to become who I should be. And it was like an epiphany. It was amazing.
I love that. And I love that while you were saying that, I was thinking about at least 4 different foods that every time I eat them, they bring up the exact same memory for me and how happy that makes me. As a father of a 7-year-old and I work and my wife works, we have one child. And with both of us working, that's hard enough. You and your husband are both chefs. Working, I'm assuming, full time with 2 kids. How is my question?
So in Vegas, we had a mom group. They're my soul. I miss them so much. But when they were really small and like in preschool and the early years, so 7, 8, 9, it was great to have. It was a community. Like it was just like one of my best friends, my son's best friend's mother, Ashley. It was like, Ashley, I've got an event. It's going until 1 a.m. My daughter is 4 and my son is, 5.5 or 6. I was like, can you take them for the weekend? And she was like, of course, I'll take them. And so having that support and having mostly it was our friends who were the same area as us. We're like, yeah, we can help you. And then we have babysitters who are amazing. But Jake and I have been big on making sure our schedules always kind of, like one of us, like I leave earlier than he does. So he's there for breakfast and getting them ready for school. I try to get home by like 6:37 to do dinner and bedtime. And then when we're off, it is focused on the children. So we live that completely. And like my daughter right now, since it's summer, she'll call me on her iPad as much as she wants. And I will always answer because I want them to know like we're always there, even if we're not there. But it is very hard. And I can tell you the emotional stability of our kids is all over the place because of it. Because when we are like in it and we're both in it, because it's that time of year where it's either even the holidays, like you get beat up with holiday parties and catering and this. And I mean, the kids want it to be about them. So then you just have to wake up early that morning on a Saturday or I guess a Sunday or Monday, go ice skating, go see Santa, go Christmas shopping, and try to shove it all in, which is hard. It's very hard. But my daughter actually loves cooking. My son is really into it. And before I got here to Omni, I was like a task force corporate chef where R&D, I did kind of all of it. So I opened about 7 properties while I was with that company. So my kids thought it was so cool because they would go in construction sites and then they would see it as the R&D process was going and they would taste the food as it was moving through. And then they would get to be in the openings. And then we go back to these restaurants now and they're like their favorite places. They absolutely just are like, they understand it since they've been in it so much. That I think they get it. Like they, as young and as hard as that is to believe, they really understand we're doing what we do for them.
Cool.
One of the things I love about the culinary world, and I'm sure that I'm sure sexism exists. I'm sure some of the things that we all loathe together do exist, but it is a meritocracy. And Chef Emily, seeing you win this tournament doesn't come as a surprise to me because I don't watch a ton of cooking competition shows, but the one that I've been drawn to over the last couple of years, solely because one of my wife's colleagues was a contestant on it, is a show called Tournament of Champions.
Oh, yeah.
That's hosted by Guy Fieri. And I hope you get the opportunity to compete on that show someday because I do really appreciate the show. And I think it's through 6 seasons now. And what stands out to me is that every single champ of this show is female. Some of them, there's a couple of stories of female immigrants, children of immigrants. There's a gay champ, and for me, like I just look at that and go, this is what the ultimate meritocracy is all about. When you look at it, there are so many good female chefs, minority chefs out there in the world. And, it's a world oftentimes, not to try to turn this into a political conversation, that is dominated by people that look like John and me. And I wonder, from that standpoint, I feel like all of that is off in the kitchen. Not that kitchens don't have their own problems. They do, right? Like we all know this. But at the end of the day, like cooking in the culinary world really is the ultimate meritocracy, isn't it? I
mean, I agree. There's always going to be sexism depending on where you are. And I mean, cooking is a male-dominated profession, which is so interesting because when you hear the saying like barefoot in the kitchen, it's talking about a woman. But being a professional chef is dominated by men. But I mean, I never even thought of the gender roles because a cook has there's no he or she cook. It's not like chefy or like she chef. Like it's literally like your chef. There is no gender tied to that. Mm-hmm. So I never really noticed the struggle of gender until it got brought to my attention of the struggle of gender. And that was like later in my career. Because my goal when I was a cook and coming up was I need to be better than the person next to me so I can move up. I just need to be better. I need to push. I need to be better. It didn't matter if it was a female or a male. I was like, I just need to be better than you. And I kept that idea. And then as I became more of a leader, I was like, now I want people to be better than me. So I have to teach them to be better than me and to prove they can do better than me. Never met woman or man. And now it's like, we're in a very like a softer society now. Because when I was in the kitchens, I would get yelled at. It didn't matter when I was younger because it was okay. Now it's like you have to treat everybody a little bit softer, but it's kind of like the right way to do it. Mm-hmm. But I like Tournament of Champions because you watch these people and they just put everything out there and it's crazy. Like the dial and I mean,
it's a blind judgment. I mean, that's the other thing that's so interesting about it. So it's not like you can even, you could be partial. Yep. It's just based on your own personal preference, right? Like even if you had deep down some sort of bias, just because you even liked a person. I'm not even saying it had to be based on an ethnicity or gender or what have you, but it's a completely blind judging. So like the fact that you see the kind of success that you see from the people that you see it from, to me, it's just always been so interesting. And there are brilliant male chefs on that. Jet Teal is one of the great chefs like ever. So, it's like, it's an incredible competition, but it's interesting just to look at the results and see what happens when people aren't exactly influenced by what it is that they know, right? When it's right in front of them.
When it's blind, it's all about just the food. And like, as long as they're not watching how it's being made, you have no idea. And so then it does get more on like the she or he when you're watching people. But like, like my staff, I have very strong women that work here. I have very strong men, and then I have the opposites. So you just have to, I really just like to look at it as like, we are a non-gender people.
Absolutely. It's the way it should be. And I think that's what shows like these prove, I mean, I think ultimately that's one of the takeaways for me as well. In the world in which you live now, like plating has always been important before everybody had a cell phone, but how important is plating now in the world of cell phones and social media?
Oh my God, it's the most important thing. It's because people eat with their eyes first. And that actually, even before social media, you eat with your eyes first. If something looks terrible, you're not going to eat it. If it's slopped on a plate, it's messy, there's a place for it. Like if you're going to a diner, you expect that. If you go to, like I did 3-star Michelin for a little while, if we were to drip anything on an edge, people, it goes with cost. You can't do it. But I live on Instagram. It's how I unwind sometimes to get my mind to stop moving in the way it is. And there's plates sometimes you see and you're just like, I don't understand it. I personally am not the best plater. I am not. Like I say it 100%. I think my flavors are stellar, but my plating skills are not necessarily the best. Some people just makes things so like art, like crazy. You don't want to touch it. I want to make it so you want to eat it.
Right.
So
there you go.
It is a balance. It's a crazy balance, but it is real.
Very quickly, I have like one more question for you, but I wanted to point out, you were saying the whole thing about there is no like gendering a chef, right? They're all just chef. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking of that while I was watching this show, and like you have worked in some of these like larger kind of upscale kitchens where this is true. I've had friends that work in smaller kitchens where this is less true. But watching the show, it's so easy to see that being a part of a kitchen can also be kind of like a military exercise. Like the chef gives an order, everyone says, yes, chef. Chef says something to someone else, they have to say heard.
Yep.
You have to say, behind. Like there's all these phrases and words that you have to use in certain situations, and you have to give the proper respect on. It's very military-like, and I found that to be interesting. My question to you has nothing to do with that. I just needed to point that out. Sorry. Yeah, I was ready to say it, then Darren jumped in with a follow-up. I was like, I have to make my military point, because I was thinking about it last night. Every time you guys walked out in like a line and found your spot, I'm like, it looks like a military exercise. No, as someone who cooked for as long as you did in Las Vegas, and then you grew up in, La Costa. You're back in La Costa now. For people that might be South County, that's just a part of Carlsbad. It's okay. We're North County coastal. We're fine. How would you compare the different food and beverage scenes, both in terms of like someone who actively goes out and eats and drinks here, but also as someone who works in both and has been a part of both?
Well, Carlsbad and San Diego as a whole in the last 5-7 years has just like gone in this trajectory upward of food. When I grew up here, there wasn't what I would say, there was good food. Like we had places we always ate that are still around, like Felipe's in Solana Beach. Or Fidel's in Solana Beach. Like that is still a go-to, but would I consider it like, is it like culinary amazing? Probably not. But now you look at the city and it's really changed. So when I lived here and then I was in Santa Cruz and I was in LA and then I went to Vegas and I was there for 20 years, Vegas was like, you're surrounded by 3-star Michelin, 1-star Michelin, James Beard winners, best in this and crazy, just like top world's best and top 50s. And San Diego's a quiet little town with really good tacos and amazing fish and produce that like you can't get anywhere because it doesn't travel well. But with the culinary scene here now, like you look at even Campfire. Campfire is just a great place to grab a drink and a bite. Or, I mean, there's so many. There's Ember and Ash over at the Aviera. That is just a great place. That's Richard Blaze, and it's just great food. That wasn't here before. So I'm thrilled to be back because the culinary scene here is really taking off, and you're seeing people moving here to start opening more, and that's really exciting. You have Addison now down in Del Mar that blew everything out of the water by getting a 3-star Michelin and holding on to it year after year after year. It's bringing the talent here, which I think San Diego's just been in need of for a very long time, and it's just I'm thrilled to be here now to watch as this grows, and I'm hoping to add to it. Like Omni La Costa is known for, we have Bob's Steakhouse, which there's about 16 Bob's throughout Omni. So it's a restaurant that's actually in Texas that our ownership just likes. So it's in a bunch of our restaurants, but it's not necessarily my restaurant. The other restaurants here have always just been known as, this is their 3 meal a day, this is their lobby bar, and I want to change that. Like, I want this to be more like Vegas, where it's like, I want to go eat at the View and have this beautiful view of the golf course and have a stellar meal. So the chef that I brought in to run View is Cameron Dixon. He's incredible. He came from 333 Pacific, was that Ocean Pacific in Oceanside, or 333 Prime? 333 Prime, sorry.
Yeah, I think
I
that's
don't know,
it.
I took him away from there. But
Yeah.
his food is incredible. And like, he's just this guy that was living in this other little spot. And now I'm like, how do I get people to come and see you and want to eat your food? And I think that's kind of what a lot of other hotels are trying to do, is like, how do we up our game? How do we bring these names in to show people, like, this isn't just a place where you're going to get some food. We're going to go and do an experience. In Vegas, you go and it's like, it's not just you're going to a show or you're going to a restaurant or you're going to some attraction. I want that to be here too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really fun.
I don't want to take up too much of your time. Yeah, I just have so many questions because I'm so fascinated by the universe in which you live. Like I said, because it really is near and dear to my heart. Do you watch The Bear?
So I've watched some episodes of there. I need to binge it. I got about 4 episodes into the first season of The Bear, and my husband and I both worked for Jill Robichon for a long time.
Right.
And we had some PTSD. Like when the scene where Joe McHale is over his shoulder and he's like, "You're never going to be better than this. You're garbage." And then the whole kitchen is silent, and they go 4, and everybody goes 10, and it's like 3, 14, and it's like they're saying a table number, and they're responding with how long it's going to take to get the next course out. And for me, when that started happening, I was like, "What? No one ever did that again." So we were like really into it, and then we were like, pause. Right. And I need to go back because this last, the 3rd season that came out with all those like big names that came in, it's almost like mentors, and to calm him down and to show his struggle and to show how he came out of it, which is so yes, chef. I gotta watch that. I think it's incredible. I think the way it's filmed is so realistic that it actually caused me a little bit of like, it gave that anxiety level. I couldn't take enough Lexapro to calm me down. So.
I had to bail like halfway through season number 2, and it's been decades since I've even been in a kitchen. So I would totally understand that as well. Influencers, good or bad?
Both. Their influencers are amazing. They're like free advertising but they're not free. So they're influenced by money. And so a lot of them to come to your restaurant to give you the follows or the likes or the stories, you actually have to give them a free meal or pay them to come. And then they promise to do a lot of things. It's just another marketing ploy. And I don't dislike them because I do find value. I just don't I could be a hole in the wall with a C rating, but if I had the cash to pay an influencer to come in and say that my food was amazing and they do their artwork with their pictures, so it's just like, it's like Yelp, but like the visual Yelp.
Right. So and my final question, you and Jake, you guys are successful chefs. You have a night out. Kids are taken care of. Money's not an object, right? You have these winnings that burning a hole in your pocket. You're like, listen, we're getting a car service. We're going to go out in San Diego. Where are you guys going?
Oh, I have a list of places because we never do date nights, but We want to go to Lilo that just opened in Carlsbad.
Mm-hmm.
They also just got a 1 star after 10 weeks of being open, which is crazy.
It's ridiculous.
I want to go to actually Lila downtown, which is the like kind of Mediterranean place that opened last summer, I believe. We want to go to Le Coq in La Jolla, Addison, because he hasn't been to Addison yet.
Oh.
I still haven't been to, I can't even think of the name of the steakhouse in Del Mar. Sorry, it's escaping. But we have like lists of places that we definitely want to go. And that is what we do on a date night. It's just like go, eat, indulge, do the wine pairing, have the cocktails, get a good walk by like the beach or the boardwalk and enjoy. I
would highly recommend adding to your list Valle in Oceanside.
Yes. Yes.
I love that place. It's incredible.
Oh,
It's you're gonna spend a lot to go, but it's gonna be worth it at the end.
It's so worth it. It's because it's art. You spend a lot to go to a museum, so it's worth it.
Addison, like you said, I mean, I'm embarrassed like how much we spent at Addison, but I mean, I will never forget that night. It was.
I did go to Addison with my old resort manager and another one of the Omni GMs, and yeah, it was like, oh, okay, well. We're just going to go for it.
We just went for it. I mean, it gets going early when the champagne bucket shows up at the table.
Oh, my God. That, and then they're like, do you want the caviar? And I'm like, do you not want caviar? Like, that's hard to pass up.
Yeah. In for a penny, in for a pound. All right. Thank you, Chef Emily. We have taken up a lot of your time, but honestly, this has been so fun that I hope we get a chance to do it again sometime in the future. Just we always love talking food and beverage, and your experiences are a fun addition to that. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, guys, and we hope to see you here on property one of these days.
I'll be there.
Good. Thank you. Take care, guys.
All right, that was great. I mean, that really
great.
is. Imagine living in a home where mom and dad are executive chefs like that. Man, that is some good living right there. You know, I grew up in a house where I had Oscar Mayer bologna on white bread with mayonnaise, and I'm guessing that is not something that is served in that household.
I had to laugh when she said part of the reason that she became a chef was because her parents were really bad cooks, and I was like, well, her kids are not going to have that problem at all. I had a friend in high school who he became vegan because he lived with his dad, single father, and he said his dad was such a terrible cook, but would only really make meat every night. It was like chicken or steak or fish. And he said it was awful every time. He's like, so I told my dad that I was vegan. And he was like, well, I'm not cooking vegan stuff. You can cook for yourself. And he's like, so then I taught myself how to cook, and I cook vegan. And so people would be like, why are you vegan? Thinking it was going to be some moral reason or whatever. He's like, I just didn't want to eat my dad's cooking. It's really bad, but I didn't want to break his heart by saying I don't like your cooking. So vegan, which I thought that was very funny. But yeah, with both parents being that level of chef, I imagine those kids have eaten very, very well. I was like you, I had a million questions that I didn't ask. And one of them was like, how did you deal with that age where your kids just like their palate's not refined yet and they just want to eat like scrambled eggs with ketchup on them? Like, how do you deal with that? How do you get them out of that? But maybe next time.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you. Like, give me a good 20-minute meal. Like, just because, we live busy lifestyles. What's just like a good, easy 20-minute healthy meal that we can make? I'm coming to your house for dinner. What are you making? Like, those are the kind of things that I would love to know as well. Do you watch The Bear? The Bear's stressful. I gave up on it halfway through season number 2. My wife wants to go back to it. I'm not so sure.
The funny thing is, I had a similar reaction to both you and Chef Emily, which is I binged about half of it. And my wife and I, we were watching it at night, like before going to sleep. And
you can't sleep.
We were like, why are we like, we would turn it off and like our hearts would be racing. And it was like, we can't do this anymore. And yeah, so we gave up about 4 or 5 episodes in with intentions to go back at some point.
Yeah. And like I said, I didn't want to put Chef in a weird spot and talk about, this attack on DEI in the U.S. at this point. But, it is one of the things that stands out to us on the show that we have primarily watched, Tournament of Champions, which is just not a show I ever thought I was going to watch in my life, a show hosted by Guy Fieri, But, when you look at the people who have won this show on purely blind judging, you're like, yeah, I mean, that's why you give people opportunities, That's why you give these people opportunities So, that they end up in a situation where they can prove to the world that they're every bit as good as their male counterparts. And that's the point of it. So anyhow, I didn't want to turn this into a political conversation, although, everything feels a little bit political these days, I suppose. Speaking of politics, John, I never realized that you Tottenham fans were such a weepy bunch. I just never realized that, this is carrying on now 3-4 days about Son going to LAFC. Did you watch his 3-minute, very emotional, teary, sniffly video where he's saying goodbye to all the Spurs fans?
I did. And actually, I appreciated not just the sentiment, I appreciated the strength to be vulnerable on camera, and a thing that he knew was going to get shared around by everyone. He's crying for 3 minutes on camera.
It's the majority of the video.
Yeah, it's just him crying and trying to talk his way through it, and that's a guy who kind of left his home country, left his life at a pretty young age to come to Tottenham, kind of became a superstar, while becoming an adult in this new land. And now he's got to do it again. Now he's got to come to America and kind of restart. And yeah, I'm sure he's got a lot of memories that he's thinking back on. I watched that. I didn't cry, but I was sad to watch that. Sad to see him go. He's one of my favorite Spurs ever. Might actually be my favorite Spur ever. So I wish him the best as much as it would get in the way of SDFC if he's incredible. But yeah, I did watch it. I was sad for a day and then I moved on. But what are they going to do? Talk about getting their ass kicked by Bayern yesterday, 4-0 and looking terrible? They got to talk about the other stuff.
Yeah, I'm not knocking the connection and then, the emotions of it. I'm just trying to think. I'm not even sure Barcelona fans were this emotional about Lionel Messi leaving.
Yeah,
I'm not sure, but maybe that's different. Maybe those are apples and oranges to compare one to another. You know who was emotional to welcome Son Heung-min to Los Angeles, John?
Oh God,
was L.A. City Council member Heather Hutt, who hosted Son and other LAFC dignitaries at a gathering in Los Angeles. I'm sure that you've seen this. There is a little bit of confusion, I think. I don't know. Maybe we should listen to it before we actually pass some judgment on it. But it seemed like things were a bit confused when LA City Council member Heather Hutt was welcoming Son to LA.
To bring the right person, and no pressure, but when we, I'm going to say, right? But when a World Cup comes, we're expecting a win here in Los Angeles for the USA, aren't we, everybody? And there you go. And so we're here to support you to get that done. So welcome. I bought something because my grandma taught me don't go somewhere without bringing a gift. So here you go. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not exactly sure that Council Member Hutt understands exactly what's going on with the World Cup or with Son here. So I don't know. Maybe I feel like it's unfair though, John, that the U.S. constantly gets attacked by soccer supporters around the world.
Yeah, I imagine your groups of Spanish soccer fans when they find that, if they have found that, are having a great time being like, oh yeah, LAFC gets him. That means he plays on the U.S. team. You guys are friggin'
Do you
idiots.
think that's what she thought? Do you think, is it crystal clear here that that's what the council member thought was going on here, that he was coming here to play for the U.S. in the World Cup next year?
She probably thinks that Team USA is just players who play in the United States. And therefore, players from the Major League Soccer League. And maybe USL, although I doubt she knows USL exists. So yeah, that's definitely what she thought.
Okay. Well, who can tell, really? Maybe she thought that just the mere presence of Son in the United States would somehow propel the United States to victory next summer.
I did see someone in reply to that tweet say maybe she was talking about the Club World Cup, and it's no, no, she was not.
I always love like The Simpsons always did an amazing job of this, of showing politicians, police chiefs, school Principal Skinner. They're just always these, these gaffe machines, like they're just constantly up there, and they're just, like her, like Joe Biden, like they just Trump. They're just making these ridiculous things. They just don't know what they're talking about at all. Well, speaking of LA though, LA Galaxy advanced I watched this game last night. They've advanced, so they're going to be in the knockout round of Leagues Cup, if anybody's still watching that. Didn't look like a lot of people were there to really cheer on Galaxy to victory over an eliminated Santos last night. But good for the Galaxy. This is their opportunity to win something and not have the season be a complete failure and completely a waste of everybody's time. So good on them. SDFC tomorrow, 5:30 on Saturday against Sporting KC, which I'm sure, John, as you know, is, this is me prepping for a match, learning all about the difference between Kansas City, Missouri and Kansas City, Kansas. How far apart do you think those two cities are? Do you know?
I mean, if I'm just trying to be rational about it, I'm like, oh, they're probably, 15 minutes apart. But no, if one of them is big enough to have an MLS stadium there, then I imagine they're both pretty big, and therefore there's probably space and suburbs between them. I'm going to go with 40 minutes, which would be what, like 40 miles? 40 miles.
3.5 miles, John.
Oh, so I was right the first time.
I would have guessed. Let me be fully transparent here. I would have guessed what you would have guessed. Right across the Missouri River there. 3.5 miles from Kansas City to Kansas City.
Okay.
It's an odd place.
It is an odd place.
Never been there. Don't know that I will, but we're calling this game from the studio.
Wait, wasn't this when you told the story of you and Dave Marcus and someone else went to a honky tonk? Wasn't that Kansas City, Kansas, or was that somewhere else?
That was St. Louis, Missouri.
Oh, okay. That was okay. Got it.
Which city do you think was incorporated first? Kansas City, Kansas, or Kansas City, Missouri?
Probably Kansas City, Kansas, based on the name alone.
Kansas City, Missouri, it should be pointed out, was incorporated before Kansas was a state.
Oh my gosh. Okay,
However, don't let that mislead you. No, Kansas City, Missouri was incorporated in 1850, but it was called the City of Kansas. And then seeking to piggyback on all the success that was happening in Missouri, this other city popped up across the river. And they said, we are Kansas City, of course, named after the Native American Kansas.
And then the city of Kansas, Missouri changed their name to
Correct.
Kansas City, Missouri to piggyback on the success of Kansas City, Kansas.
Right. Yeah. So, like I said, it's a very, very bizarre. I've never been, but just spending a fucking hour on this yesterday for no good reason whatsoever. It's never going to come up during the broadcast, but just because I cannot help prepare for these games. What I should have been doing is just watching more videos of Pedro Soma, because I watched a 9-minute video yesterday of Pedro Soma, who is this 19-year-old who was playing for Barca B, who is here from Cornea, and he'd been playing in Spain, born in Florida. And let me tell you, I know everybody, John and I would look good if you gave us 9 minutes of highlight reel. Even you and I would look good. This guy looks good. Yeah. And I'm telling you, this guy, just go follow Yeppe Terskov around. That's all I would say to him. Just go.
Is that his position?
He's a holding mid. Absolutely. Okay. He's a guy that wants to dribble. He's a guy that wants to pass. He's a guy that wants to orchestrate it. He wants to be the drummer of the band. Not going to be a big-time goal scorer, but he's going to be the guy that's going to keep the rhythm. And I would just say, you know what I want from you, Pedro? See that guy, number 6 over there? Go follow that guy around. Go be his shadow. Follow him. And that I think we're gonna find a lot of success with you there playing.
I almost mentioned this the other day when we were talking to Joseph Lowry. I almost said the only thing that really scares me about this team rest of season and playoffs is what happens if Yeppe goes down. Because they kind of have pretty good backups everywhere else. If they lost Chucky, they lost Anders Dreyer, would be really bad. But Yeppe, they have guys that they can fit in those spots that'll be okay. Yeppe's the one where it's if he goes down, it feels like the engine of the offense goes away. So that's heartwarming to know that maybe they have that in mind, that maybe they need a backup for Yeppe or maybe someone to take over for Yeppe in a year or two. He's not the youngest, but also not the oldest guy on the roster. So who knows? But that's good. I assumed he was like an attacking, final third type of player, goal scorer. So that's good to hear.
Yeah. I again, this video, and I even said, am I wrong? Like I texted somebody with the club, and they're like, yeah, he definitely has similar qualities that align with how it is that we want to play. So half Brazilian, U.S. product. So very good. Anyway, doing it on a highlight reel, like I said, in a Barca B match is different than doing it in MLS. So, and I met Corey Baird yesterday. Seemed like a nice guy. A friend of mine in the league said, yeah, I mean, that's about as good a backup winger as you're going to get. So, I don't know that anybody has better backup wingers than somebody like Corey Baird. So was he being brought in here because he's from Escondido and he's the next Milan Olaski? No, I don't think that is the wool anybody's trying to pull over anybody's eyes, but he, he seemed like a nice enough guy, excited to be here. He went from a successful team in the East to a successful team in the West. Happens to be his hometown. He's a big Padre fan. So 2018 MLS Rookie of the Year.
I was going to say there is no Rookie of the Year. There was a Rookie of the Year back then.
And he won it. He did.
Fantastic. That's good to know. And yeah, there's a little bit of the hometown kid coming home thing that I think maybe erases the Milan Olaski pain just a smidge. So
a little bit. I mean, I think people are right to feel disappointed about Milan Olaski, who ends up back in MLS anyway. I also think, though, and I mean this, like I also think that younger players is the more modern currency than 32-year-old aging European stars. That's just my own opinion.
Yeah.
That's just how I struck, and I went to Spain and, watching Robert Lewandowski is great, but watching Lamine Yamal is special. If you're an Arsenal fan, if you're a Gooner and you listen to this podcast, what has been the buzz during this preseason? It's been about a 15-year-old, right? So I think, the sport is trending younger and younger and younger for obvious reasons. There's more mileage there, and plus the players are more valuable.
Well, and also and Joe Lowry wrote about this, the style that SDFC plays is kind of a modern, future forward looking style. So when you get some of those older guys, and I think at times, as much as I love him, at times I feel like Annabelle Godoy is just a hair slow on his decision-making, getting rid of the ball. And I'm like, that's because he's played forever in a system that doesn't say, as soon as you get the ball, move it along. So getting those younger guys who are probably already playing that type of thing is only going to make the system work better and faster.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I think that's also going to be the structure moving forward here for SDFC is, you're going to be seeing a lot of younger players, and a lot of, youth being featured, and it's not exclusive to this place, it's not exclusive. So, all right. Well, have a great weekend, John. Any big plans?
Ish. I have every summer, couple different arms of my family get together. We have a big beach day, so that's planned for this weekend. Kid is finally healthy, so hopefully the rest of us stay healthy, knock on wood. And right after this podcast, I have to go pick up my car because remember when you needed a car battery and you spent days trying to figure out where to go and the best place to do it, and et cetera, et cetera? I went to get in my wife's car yesterday, which we haven't been driving a lot lately, and she's got a hybrid. And I got in and the car wouldn't start, and it kept giving me this error message saying, hybrid has stopped working. Hybrid has stopped working. And I was like, that seems really bad. And so finally I messed with the pedals and the buttons and everything, and I got it to start. And I was like, I'm just driving it to the dealership. I got to figure out what's wrong with it. So I drove it to the dealership. I'm like, my hybrid's broken. I know this is going to cost me thousands of dollars to replace. I don't know what's wrong with it. And the guy was like, you need a battery replacement. And I was like, is that it? The regular car battery, the one that you replaced in your car. He's like, yeah, you just need one of those. I was like, seriously? He's like, yeah. And then in my head, I'm like, well, now I can't shop around because I've brought the car here. I can't even get it restarted after I turned it off. I'm like, I'm sorry. They're like, oh, it's fine. We'll just jump it. And I'm like, I can't even go shop around now. I'm stuck. So whatever the price they gave me to replace the battery was, I agreed to. And after we press stop on this, I'm going to go pick up that car with a fresh new battery that I probably paid twice what I needed to get.
Well, congratulations, John.
Thank you.
I mean, it's a great purchase. I love seeing it on the credit card statement when it comes in.
Well, I'll have two cars all weekend, so if I have big plans, I have now the vehicles to accomplish those big plans.
Yeah, I still have to go get tires, so that's always exciting. 4. I don't know. We'll see. We will see. All right. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll be on the air, I think, at 5 o'clock on Saturday on 760 iHeartRadio app. So enjoy your weekend, and we'll give you the Monday recap on Monday.